That. So that's what I've heard here. Now, I will say I'm having a bit of a difficulty. I'm trying to get Rob Blackman or Buckets on from the Bahamas, but this whole 9:30 start for Purdue and Texas Tech later on tonight doesn't really jive, if you will, with the timing of this. And I'll get to the timing of the show coming up in just a minute. So I'm going to try my damnedest to make sure I get some rep on from the Boilermakers, because that was a hell of a game last night, I thought. And I thought Purdue, to survive that when Braden Smith couldn't hit the ass end of nothing last night, and when Trey Kaufman-Wren kind of lost it a little bit, he blew his cool, didn't start the second half. With all that in mind, you had Fletcher Lawyer knocking down shots, and then Fletcher Lawyer after the game said, maybe one of the reasons why we shot it wrong, and believe me, I had this particular excuse after every single game I ever played. Did you guys see? Fletcher Lawyer says, the rims weren't the same size, weren't the same height. And I thought, yes, that was my entire high school career. The rim everywhere I went, there was another 10, 11, 9.5, 8.5, whatever. And that's what Fletcher Lawyer said. And I also thought that's exactly like the Southport Auxiliary Gymnasium, because I don't think those rims have ever been 10 feet. If they have, they've been like 10.5, maybe 9.5. But we'll get into that coming up a little bit later on. You've got the Colts and the Chiefs. My conversation with Cam Bynum yesterday, the podcast at 1075thefan.com. He was phenomenal on the show. Daniel Jones is got the green light. He's all good to go, which is fantastic. So good for Daniel Jones. We'll talk about that coming up with Joel A. Erickson. And, DeForest Buckner. I guess all signs point to after December the 14th, his return. Now, they've got a lot of work to do between now and then, don't get me wrong. But, man, that is a have-to right there. Hopefully that is the case. But at least as of this weekend, Daniel Jones is going to be good to go against Kansas City. 10 a.m., the Colts pregame huddle. I start that coming up on Sunday morning with Casey Valier and Bill Brooks right here on 93.5. 107.5 The Fan, and we'll throw in of the trifecta, Country 97.1, Hank FM for that. IU last night, a win over Lindenwood. We can get to that, too. I mentioned Purdue and Texas Tech because they've got a Toppin, and not an Obi Toppin, but a Toppin. And he is a good, high-level college player, walking double-double. That's going to be a tough handle coming up later on tonight. We'll get into that a little bit later on, too. But the Pacers in action. Pacers on the road, and this is really weird, right? Pacers on the road in Cleveland, and it's kind of like last night, I guess. You have to have a subscription to be able to get Amazon and be able to stream that, because this is on Amazon Prime later on tonight, which is incredibly weird, but that is why we're afforded the opportunity for our good friend Kristen Airy to join me now, the voice of the Pacers at the District Tap, Clearwater Crossing on the north side, having an ice-cold Bud Light on a game day. Holy hell.
Easy.
Does it feel weird for you?
Yeah, easy for me to be here. I'm only about less than 10 minutes away from where I live. Yesterday, I'm glad I did it yesterday. I listened to your entire show while I mowed the lawn and did leaves. And now with it rainy and cold and cruddy out, I'm glad that I did what I did. But, yeah, it is odd. The last time we were together live, my better half was here, and we had a great time downtown at the District Tap.
Do you remember Terry Denary throwing down shots? That was as glorious as the playoff run.
You know where she is right now? She is down in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, taking care of our two youngest grandsons. Walker and Eli, our son and daughter-in-law, are on a little bit of a vacation here before Thanksgiving. So, yes, that's why she's not here. She would definitely be here again. But, it is odd to sit here with you knowing that the Pacers have a game tonight. I'll watch it like everybody else.
Who's got the play-by-play call? Who is that?
I'm not. I'd have to look. I'm not even sure, because when I went to Ion Sky, there's a website called Ion Sky.
Yeah.
And it usually lists everybody, and it had no names. So let's see. For Amazon, you could have Michael Grady.
I thought Grady was a part of that, right?
You could have Grady. Yeah. You could have Ian Eagle.
Yeah.
Kevin Harlan. So any combination of those guys, it'll be.
Those are good dudes, right there.
Great broadcast. And so, tonight is a cup game. The Pacers lost their previous cup game against Atlanta. It was good to get a win the other night on Wednesday, and I thought you saw Rick Carlisle sort of He's used more five-man combinations than anybody in the NBA thus far. And I really thought that with the return of Mathurin, I thought McConnell played really well. I thought the way they were able to stagger guys was probably the best that they've been able to do it since all those guys got hurt.
Clearly, Rick needs 750 timeouts. So I don't know with the way this team is cobbled together if you can afford taking a timeout in the first 35 seconds because you're disgusted. I mean, especially the way that he utilizes it, because we've seen a couple of different times he's like Chris Webber stuff here. So I don't know if you can do that.
The only coaches that I've ever seen do that are Rick and Lynn Dunn. When Lynn Dunn was the coach of the Fever and I was the voice of the Fever, I remember numerous times, not even a minute into a quarter, where Lynn was not happy and she called a timeout.
He like the other night was like 35 seconds in. It was like what was it? It was after a when was that? Was it Monday night?
Yeah, in Detroit, John.
No, it was Monday night. It was Duncan Robinson knocking down a wide open look, and he got pissed.
We went a stretch of either 2 or 3 consecutive games where we went over the mandatory number of 7 timeouts. Rick actually called an 8th, and what happens then is it's a technical foul. They get a free throw and the ball, which is different in the NBA than if I have the ball and one of my guys gets a technical foul, says something, you still get the ball back. If you use an 8th timeout, you don't get the ball back.
He needs some hardship timeouts, like they do players, I think.
And the Pacers have another hardship player. They just signed Garrison Matthews, who played with Atlanta, good three-point shooter. And Jeremiah Robinson-Earl has done some nice things. He's rebounded the ball well. They waived Monte Morris, and they put JRE, as we call him, to a regular contract. So, we'll see tonight. This is a really good Cleveland team. They've been banged up a little bit with injuries. Max Strus hasn't played. Garland's been out.
Jared Allen's a question mark. Right. Garland's a question mark.
But it was just good to have a really good win on Wednesday. The crowd was great. I think people understand what this team has gone through. It's been interesting, John, because you come off literally, I think, the greatest year in Pacers history.
It was.
No disrespect to 2000 when they went to the finals, but I think the greatest year in Pacers history. And then Halliburton goes down, and then you have all these injuries. So, as Benedict Mathurin says, it's a long season, and we'll see what happens tonight.
My man doesn't notice that they win 20 in a row or lose 20 in a row. His demeanor is absolutely
the guy puts his head down and goes to work.
Well, it makes him, he is so essential. And I think we're going to realize that even more as the season goes along. Even if you can't fully see how he is going to be integrated for the long term with this team led by Halliburton, I just think his play, his dog mentality, and just who it is an essential personnel, essential piece for this team moving forward. And you got to figure out a way to go ahead and long-term that thing out. To me, there's zero question. Others have question. I feel like I know ball. There's no question for me. His ass needs to be here for the long term.
You know what's interesting about Ben is his rookie year, how we do the buses. I'm usually on the last bus going to the airport, and his rookie year, I'm on the bus. He gets on the bus. There's other guys in the back, and we're rolling to the airport, and all of a sudden I hear my voice. The other guys are all talking in the back, and I'm like, where's my voice coming from? And I look at Ben. He's on his phone rewatching the game.
Sure.
I mean, that's Benedict Mathurin.
He's all ball, man. He is all ball all the time. And there's nothing else that factors into that.
He loves the game.
You can even tell with this dialogue, and, JJ has all these questions out, and I can tell JJ's like prepared. He's got about 10 questions for 2.5 minutes because he's just going to say, this is what I expect to do. I play well. I just want to win. I want our team to win. That's it, because he's going to be short answered. But he's just all ball all the time. And you have to have somebody like that. Somebody with not a care in the world about what the image is like and what's going on. Right now, I don't think he understands they're only a 2-win team.
No.
He doesn't even get that, and you need that.
No, because you know what? He thinks, and rightly so, he goes, the Pacers played 11 games without me. I wasn't on the floor for those games. I want to look at the record when I've been available.
He didn't want to be cocky about it either, which was awesome reference, by the way. Hey, I want to get back to that in a second. This is Chris Denari, the voice of the Pacers, who has the night off because the Pacers are on Amazon Prime later on tonight in Cleveland. And by the way, you should watch because he is getting more clock this season so far. Craig Porter Jr. from Terre Haute South is getting a lot more time over in Cleveland so far. Now, we see over the course of the year how that normally shrinks with your rotation, a lot of guys being missing right now. But as of right now, that he is getting a lot more time. How far do you go back when you were a part of the Colts broadcast?
Yeah, I was thinking about that driving in, John, back when it was on Q95. Mm-hmm. I did the Colts postgame show. I was Greg Rakestraw for about 4 or 5 years.
That's what I thought, yeah.
I was the director of communications at Methodist Sports Medicine, now Forte Sports Medicine, and I also did it the 2 years I was the sports director at Fox 59. So, yeah, I was the Colts postgame
Was that
show
you
host.
and Jeff Harrod back then?
It was Jeff Harrod. I worked a little bit with Blair Keel.
Yeah.
I had Barry Krause. I think I had Charles Arbuckle a little bit. So, yeah, I was a part of the Colts radio network for about 5 or 6 years.
Do you have any vivid memories at all of a matchup with the Kansas City Chiefs that stands out? When you were a part of the Colts in their broadcast?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to remember that far back. I mean, I just remember, back in my day with Peyton and company, that postgame show was relatively easy to do because they were rolling.
And they were rolling, and, I think that's when the Chiefs had Larry Johnson, and he might run it a little bit. But
the only there's some negatives that you remember. I remember having to host the show against the Steelers when Vanderjagt went wide right.
Yeah.
After Nick Harper, they picked up the fumble, and Nick Harper looks like he's going for the touchdown, gets tackled. I had very few shows where you had to talk about anything that happened negatively because Peyton and the Colts were so dominant at that point.
It's funny. And I shared this with Jake during our Love, Heating, and Air crossover a little bit earlier. We always go back to 95 and that push in the postseason in that frigid game at Arrowhead. But there was also a game inside the RCA Dome in the playoffs. And I remember this, and I guess it was NBC, I'm not quite sure, was doing the playoff game. But Collinsworth was doing the breakdown. He was the color analyst, and he was going over actual game calls. They were game calls, dialogue that Manning would use. I'm in the press box, and Bill Polian, at the time was the general manager, team president, was right next to me, and heard that and absolutely exploded. All over Craig Kelly. Explode. He was irate at it. Now, the Colts still rolled, but he was irate at that. And, that was back when, if you were a fan, if you remember the old RCA Dome press box, the fans were right next to where you were sitting. It was open air. That's one of the reasons why I think it's closed up like a glass encased tomb now, 6 stories above the floor and the surface. But, yeah, it was Poland blew up during that because there were actual calls. And Manning was the one I think had given him in, a back and forth one-on-one with Collinsworth. But that's one of my vivid memories about this particular matchup was that, too.
That old RCA press box, RCA Dome press box, you're right. I did a number of high school state championship games there and was there for the Colts radio network. Boy, you were right there, right?
There.
You were right there. Yeah. It reminds me a little bit when I would do Big Ten games. Illinois' press box, for me, was always one of the best because you were so low you felt you could touch things, and that's exactly how the RCA Dome press box was.
You mentioned doing the high school football state championship games coming up next Friday and Saturday. It's obviously a rite of passage around here, some of the most entertaining stuff you'll ever see, and you were a part of that. I was a part of that for a couple of different years as well. Does anything stick out? Games you had during the high school state final? Because this is semi-state Friday night, and things are going to fall to see
I
where everybody
remember
goes.
One Saturday, John, doing a Butler basketball game in the afternoon, and Desmond Tardy and Warren Central playing that night.
I do remember.
I have done a few of those doubleheaders in my heyday, but I remember Desmond Tardy and those Warren Central teams, how good they were back in the day.
I remember during that time and that team, and I think I was on the sideline, I walked back through the locker room or toward the locker room, And these Warren guys were all, and they were huge, absolutely humongous. I mean, it was that particular group back then. Speaking of Butler, 38-31. Where is that? Somewhere in West Virginia, I think, today.
Yeah,
right?
Greenbrier.
The Greenbrier's going on. Butler 38-31 over South Carolina. 19:25 to go in the second half. We will keep you updated on that. They get Virginia in that same place coming up later on this week.
I had a chance last night, as you said, talking about Purdue. That was a good win. Braden Smith went to my alma mater, Westfield High School. Penny Hardaway has brought in a whole new crew of guys for Memphis. But that was an interesting night of basketball from the standpoint, John, is you had 6 o'clock starts. Now, you could see down in the Bahamas why it would start at 6. IU was on at 6 o'clock at Assembly Hall last night against a Lindenwood team that kept it close for a while.
They did. I mean, they knocked down some shots. I think ended up losing by 20. I don't know how much you gauge. I think IU's going to get that gauge with Kansas State coming up on Tuesday, maybe, for one of the first times. But, man, Purdue last night, I mean, you can get down and dirty. They can really transform into whatever is necessary for them to transform into at that moment. And certainly Braden Smith, he was struggling offensively.
He hit that one at the buzzer at the half. That was a crazy shot that he hit.
He had some great looks, but it was Fletcher Lawyer. And then C.J. Cox. You cannot overstate how important he is to that group. So many, and especially in their time of need, not once but twice, wide open corner make threes when they absolutely needed it. That is a big deal.
I think that the thing that I like about Purdue, and it sort of reminds me of what the Pacers did last year when they had Obi Toppin who could and Pascal could play small ball. Purdue can throw out a number of different lineups. I mean, they go big with Clough, then they bring Jacobson off the bench, but then they can go small ball. So I think that's the beauty of what Matt Painter and his staff are able to do. They're able to attack you in many different ways with the personnel that they have.
So, and the one thing you notice about Memphis, and they were hey, thank you, brother. They were 1-2, going into that game. And it's funny, I heard the CBS Sports Network crew, I think Gary Parrish, who's based out of Memphis, kind of broke this down better than anybody else. He said, they're probably happy about the way that they played, considering what they thought about Penny Hardaway's team going in. But the one thing for Purdue is you always have that athleticism question that's going to be brought up. And that was one of the more athletic teams that you were going to play. And, man, Purdue was not on their A game, but they were still able to withstand it on an evening when, one guy kind of blew a fuse uncharacteristically, and the other guy just really wasn't out there offensively as you normally would. And, between Cox and Lawyer, they got a lot of good minutes spread around. I thought Bencher gave them some decent minutes out there as well out of Brownstown Central. So not bad at all.
Yeah, and especially when, Memphis came out and hit all those threes early. I mean, it was a 17-8 game. No panic in Purdue. But this would be a really good win. Thad Matta's done a really good job, I think, bringing in the type of players that he feels can fit his style. Butler's a lot more athletic, and, I've got great ties. 17 years I was the voice of Butler, and, in fact, my first year was Thad's last year as a player. That's how
you just got to find your spot.
Yeah.
And I think Butler has struggled in finding their position here.
Yeah, and so this is a good matchup for them. If they can knock off 4-0 South Carolina, that would be big.
I just think about it, they've been kind of all over the map with it. I mean, they tried to go homegrown guys, and then 2 years ago they brought in all these name guys, and I mean, you could just kind of
tell. Now they've got sort of a mix.
Yeah, they have a mix. The name guys all cared about themselves and the money and the shots and stuff, and that was tough to watch. So hopefully this can ultimately be a lot better, but. For Butler within the Big East and the landscape of college athletics and college basketball, it is still a struggle to find your footing and find your way. Everybody just kind of think, with what you see with those that just have made a seamless transition or those like IU football that have just blown it absolutely out of the water, everybody believes that it's that easy, but it's far from being that easy.
I tell you, from an IU football standpoint, shows you how good Kirk Cignetti is. I mean, just what he's been able to do, how they've been able to win, how he's been able to attract talent. Yeah. You're right. It is not easy. Coaches will tell you winning is hard. I don't care at what level you're at. It is not easy. So It's good to see Butler up 9 right now and now up 11, so that's great.
Got a special message from our good friend Eddie White. Love listening to you and Chris. Remind him even on his off night, he has to call the postgame show coming up later on tonight. So that's a reminder to you. By the way, I was at that Chiefs-Colts game that I talked about. The playoff game back in '96, working for Reebok, my rental car doors and everything were flat out frozen after the game. Almost missed the flight. And that's what I remember the most, because not only did you have the Arctic-like temperatures in Kansas City, but I remember I was living in Bloomington at the time. There was like 12, 14 inches of snow on the ground. I mean, you could barely get – I was doing donuts in the B97 parking lot in my 1993 Toyota Corolla. So you could barely get anywhere at that time. And it was such a unique experience. As I mentioned to Jake a little bit earlier, when Eddie was talking about that game in the 95 season and in January of 96, is that was the first time I think Colts fans were introduced to the highest level of winning.
Yes.
What it was really all about.
Yes.
It wasn't all, hey, we got a team and that's great and here's our gear, but hey, maybe you squeak into the postseason and maybe you get a Monday night game. But that was high-level winning that nobody around here had ever seen.
It just pops into my mind. I can absolutely remember one of the houses we lived in Carmel where I was for that playoff game when the Colts nearly won it. We had people over, and you're right. Yep. That was sort of the first time that you felt like, hey, this is our NFL team that might be able to do it.
Yeah, and I've never been on drugs or anything like that, but I'm assuming that's kind of the fix that you need. I think once Colts fans got a feel for that, I mean, you want it. You want it all the time, and I think that helped put together when you ultimately got to the Bill Polian, Peyton Manning era, where now that level is expected, and they're finally feeling that sort of level again at 8-2 this season.
It's like no other, John. It's what the Colts experienced when they won the Super Bowl. It's what Purdue basketball, IU basketball, what the Pacers went through, what the Fever have done.
Yes.
I thought about this on Wednesday, and it was hard for me to believe as I'm filling out my chart at the time that the Pacers were 1-13. I kept looking at that going, man, it's really surreal that I'm writing this down. But then I look and I fill out the other chart, and I think about what the Pacers have done the last 2 years. Charlotte's missed the playoffs 9 straight years and 16 out of the 17 years. And so you realize, as we said back in June, you just have to embrace it and enjoy it because it's not guaranteed.
No.
And I think that's what we're trying to do with IU football, with the Colts and all that. You just really embrace it and enjoy it because it's not guaranteed, but you really love it while it's happening.
I've said this all along. What the Pacers are going through right now is the exact reason why Carly, Irsay, Gordon, and you're focused in on you can worry about next year.
Right.
And you go with the position you're in right now and try to become even better off of that.
No question.
And live in the moment.
Yeah.
So understand that. You got a lot of time with us today?
I'm good.
All right. Hey, Daenerys going to hang out. We got Bob Lovell on the other side, man. Semi-state action around the state of Indiana later on tonight. We got that with Bob Lovell, bottom of the hour. Joel A. Erickson of the Star coming up at the top of the 4 o'clock hour. And remember, we bail at 5:30 today. So we're at the District Tap on the north side. Bud Light Blue Friday. I've got Colts tickets to give away for you. I've got Bud Light Blue Friday gear for you as well. Ice cold Bud Light, damn good food. Our guy Michael is going to be here. This is a precursor to one hell of a sports weekend for you right here at Clearwater Crossing. We are at the District Tap. So Daenerys is going to hang with us on the other side. Bob Lovell is going to join us on the other side. And the spreadability of Win Schuler's making sure no matter what party or if it's just you snacking at elite levels at home, the spreadability of Win Schuler's original sharp cheddar, bacon, and cheddar, and you can find it in jalapeno pepper. The spreadability of Win Schuler's, that's elite level snacking. Neiman's Harvest Market in Carmel, Meyer locations throughout the state of Indiana, as well as Gordon's Food Service. That is Win Schuler's. Chris and John, your chance to win with Bud Light and our friends from Zinc on the other side, plus Motley Crue tickets, plus bullseye passes for the Big Ten championship game, pregame party, and more. And Bob Lovell on the other side. The stream, the app, HD Radio, AAA membership lounge via YouTube Live. And we've got the text stream going, 317-239-1070 with 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. And we will treat this Friday as such, too. You've got the Chiefs and the Colts coming up on Sunday. Hopefully we get Joel at the top of the hour. We'll look for Joel top of the hour. Don Fischer, voice of the Hoosiers after last night, IU basketball, the win over Lindenwood. Boilermakers, the win yesterday in the Bahamas. They knock off Memphis. They get number 15 Texas Tech later on tonight. That conversation coming up, too. And we have a very special friend with us, Kristen Airy, voice of the Pacers, because the Pacers in Cleveland tonight is on Amazon Prime. Kristen Airy has the opportunity to hang out with us on a Bud Light Blue Friday at the District Tap and throw back ice-cold Bud Lights. That's how it works right here.
It was not 6 months ago. I don't know how long ago. It was June 22nd, sometime in June. It was Game 6, right? It was Game 6,
yeah.
So June 20th or whatever. I was with you at District Tap downtown, so... glad to be here. I was just going to throw something in. I know Bob Lovell's coming up. Another Indiana connection. Let's see if he can get a win. Patrick Rogers today
yes.
in the RSM Classic shot a 62. He's 15 under par, tied for second. We need him to get his first win.
That is Avon, Indiana's own.
Yep.
Patrick Rogers right there. That is Kristen Aaron on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline from Indiana Sports Talk. He is going to be equally busy tonight and tomorrow night throughout the state of Indiana. Bob Lovell was with us. Bob, Kristen Airy's on the show with us today. Welcome in, Chris, to the show from your palatial estate down in Franklin.
He's always a tough act to follow. There's no question. I'm humbled to be on the same program as you two luminaries.
Oh, man. Well, let's start right here in 6A. Westfield and Carroll out of Fort Wayne, Warren and Brownsburg. I mean, obviously in Brownsburg, that is going to be something to watch coming up later on tonight. How are you feeling in 6A as we talk about the semi-states action tonight?
Well, this looks familiar. I mean, obviously Brownsburg won it a year ago. Carroll's been in the championship game before, trying to get back, obviously. Westfield, in their story, is it's just a fun story. They continue to play well under the great leadership of Jake Carroll. Now Josh Miracle has taken over the program, and they continue to be a contender to win a championship. And so these are good teams. These are four really, really good teams. I think you have to go with the champs. You got to like what the champs are doing. They're an explosive offense. I think it's going to be interesting tonight to see who can do what they do offensively. Both teams are pretty capable in terms of Warren Central and Brownsburg. But the Warren story is equally as impressive as anyone else's because you didn't really expect them to be where they are. I thought they had a good team, but I'm not so sure that a lot of people would have said, well, yeah, Warren Central will be playing for a chance to go to the finals. So great drama, great storylines, and some really, really solid football teams in action tonight.
Well, Bob, you know where my heart is. I'm a former Shamrock from years gone past. It really has been amazing to watch that football program and what they've been able to do over the years, isn't it?
Well, it is, Chris, and I'm sorry, I forgot to give Westfield its due, and you're one of their most famous alums, and they are just getting better and better. Football-wise, they've been a tremendous. Again, they played for championships before. They've been in this position before, and this is a team. I think the amazing thing is you lose a Hall of Fame type coach and Jake Gilbert, and you turn around and you bring in a guy, if he continues down this path, is on a path to possible Hall of Fame induction himself and Josh Miracle. But the constant has been tremendously talented kids, and they play a great schedule. They don't shy away from anyone. They have played consistently all year long. And I think that's the beauty of what this is about. And I think Carroll playing in that so the Carroll-Westfield matchup, the Warren Central matchup with Brownsburg, these are the kinds of games I think you come to expect in semi-state action.
Bob Lovell of Indiana Sports Talk got semi-state football on his mind. He's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Concord, Maryville, Bloomington South, and New Pal. Is this just kind of a foregone conclusion regarding New Pal, whether it's South or their matchup in 5A in general coming up next week?
Well, it's hard to go against them. I mean, their story they've been phenomenal. I mean, they have just steamrolled a lot of teams. But you have, listen, Concord got in on a walk-off field goal at the end a couple weeks ago. Merrillville has really exceeded their expectations on this particular team. The battle in Bloomington has always been between North and South. Both teams played great this year, and South comes out on the better end of it. And so those are all good teams, but I'm not sure how you can stop this New Pal team. Defensively, they're really, really difficult to score on. They have playmakers all across the board, and they've been a force from day one. And I think it'd be hard. Again, they know how to win championships, and so I would have to give them an edge. If you press me on it, I'd give them an edge.
Bob, at 4A tonight, Southside's going to be rocking down there at Ron Colley. And a shout-out to the Louks and shout-out to Coach Sims and, the gang down there I know and love so much. But I kind of wonder this. Does Heritage Hills or Ron Colley know what they're getting into? Because Heritage Hills is going to go to a hornet's nest, and Ron Colley's going to host a team that's got a couple of high-level power conference Division I stars as a part of it. And really, Heritage Hills has had that before. Jay Cutler, Ken Dilger come to mind from Santa Claus, but it is a unique set of circumstances. Did either one know what they're getting into tonight down on the south side at 8 o'clock?
Oh, I think they have an idea that if you win, you're going to go play in the Dome for a championship. And the other things, Ron Colley has done a phenomenal job to get where they are. I think it's just fun to watch the progress they've made from day one until now. Heritage Hills, as you know, won a championship a year ago. They are it's the Jet Goldsberry show. He's I would think, and with the exception of Miles McLaughlin, I think you would have Jet Goldsberry as Mr. Football, but it's hard to go against a guy who's going to break the world's record for rushing in high schools. And so Hills has been good. I mean, as you pointed out, their talent, their talent level for what would be a 3A school is phenomenal, and they're legit. So I think this game, everything you point to makes this a classic game, and it's one of those, I know, cliches, but if you're not already there or on the way, you're probably not going to make it. You're not going to find a seat.
One of my good friends and neighbor, Zach Watson, is a part of the officiating crew on that 8 o'clock start with Heritage Hills and Ron Colley later on tonight. So that is awesome. And obviously, we'll be watching the exploits of running back Miles McLaughlin of Knox at Fort Wayne Lures in 3A coming up later on this evening at 8 o'clock. 364, Bob. I think he needs to break the national high school rushing record that is now owned by Derrick Henry. Sure, I don't want to ask the question, can he do it tonight? I guess the question would be asked, is it possible to do it against this Lures team tonight?
Yes, he's done it against everybody. That 364 is an average night. That's what he does.
Yeah.
And the amazing thing about this kid, John, he never comes off the field. He goes both ways. A game-saving interception a couple of weeks ago, averages 300, like 350 plus. And again, he's out there. He's out there on every single play. It's a phenomenal story. It's just one of those types of situations. He got a Hall of Fame coach in Russ Radke, who's won a championship at Griffith. They are a legit team to win a championship. You just got to get by one of the most storied programs in the history of high school football in our state in Lures. And so it's always fun to figure out if Miles McLaughlin can just do what he does. And I think you kind of want Miles to get his yards, and I think he's got a great chance to do it. But irrespective of that, he's had a phenomenal year and a phenomenal career.
That's always an amazing story, Bob, especially at those smaller schools where, as you said, he never comes off the field.
No.
He's playing both ways. I mean, not only do you have a chance to set a national record as a running back, but you're out there each and every play for your school.
He is. And, Chris, he would be the first person to tell you that he has a phenomenal offensive line that allows him to do the things he does. He would deflect any types of compliments by first starting with his buddies and the guys who've been there for him the entire time of his career, making things happen on that offensive line. And they're a no-nonsense team. It's, they snap the ball to quarterback hands it to Miles, and that's their offense. No real need to huddle, quite frankly. And if you're scouting them, you know how this is in sports. You know exactly what's going to happen. Everybody in the stadium knows exactly what's going to happen. So now let's see if you can stop it. And for Knox, the answer has been no one's done it. And I think it makes it even more of a fun thing to talk about.
Bob, I do want to hit this. 3A, it's tomorrow, and I'm assuming they need, kind of like in Jaws, they need a bigger boat here. Gibson, Southern, and Cascade will have about 25,000 people, I think, watching this game, or at least about probably 100,000 people will say they were actually there. This may be the largest matchup of the weekend because you know that Hopstadt's going to travel. That should be incredible tomorrow night in 3A at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, I think it's neat that they're making the move. Sometimes you do this, obviously, in the semi-states, but I think it's going to be a phenomenal game. I think that one of the things about it, John, is that again you get to this point. Gibson Southern's been in this position before. They've done that. They kind of know what it's like. Cascade, everything is brand new. I'm clearly rooting for them because I'm a Hendricks County boy. I remember. Here's how old I am, fellas. I remember playing against Cascade in their first season of high school football.
Wow. When was that, like 1925?
1969. Yeah, 1920. Feels like 25. When I look in the mirror, it looks like 1925. But thanks for jumping in on that softball I lost, by the way.
I had to add that. Hey, another one, too, Bob. You got Brownstown Central and Lovell. Love that 7 o'clock later on tonight in 2A. South Putt and Milan down in the southeastern part of the state in Class A. Later on this evening. Bob Lovell's got you covered on all fronts coming up later on this evening and tomorrow on Indiana Sports Talk. I love this time of year. I love hearing your breakdown, and I love it when we add Chris Denary to the broadcast as well as a part of this, man. Awesome Friday we had, Bob. Thank you for the time, as always.
Thanks, John. Chris, thanks for all you do for our show, and it's great to hear from you. Great to talk with you. And John, as always, thanks for having me.
All right, Coach. We'll talk soon.
Bob Lovell on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. You got time to stay? Can you stay for a while?
I can stay.
How long can you stay? Give me a time.
However long you want.
Because I think I go until 5:30, so hell, you might as well stay here.
I can probably be here.
We can do that. All right, Chris Denary is going to rejoin on the other side of the district tap. We're on the north side, Clearwater Crossing, Bud Light Blue Friday. Football toss is ready for you. Colts tickets and ice cold Bud Light and damn good food. Joel A. Erickson, good at the top of the hour. Voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fischer, going to join us coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. Win Schuler spreadability. It is elite level snacking that you're going to need for this weekend. Maybe it's a party. Maybe it's you alone. No matter what, crackers, chips, vegetables, the spreadability of Win Schuler's original sharp cheddar, bacon and cheddar, and jalapeno pepper. And you can find it at your favorite Meijer location of the state of Indiana. Gordon's Food Service, and if you're lucky enough in Hamilton County, Neiman's Harvest Market in Carmel. The spreadability of Win Schuler's. Always a part of this show. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Converse about whatever you want to converse about. We got that going on. Chiefs and of the Star is going to join us. An off week for the Hoosiers. Voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fischer. We'll talk bucket game and then starting realizing the Big Ten title game possibilities coming up with Don at the 5 o'clock hour here. We've got a Bud Light Blue Friday. We've got Colts tickets to give away, the football toss, District Tap, Clearwater Crossing, Northside. All we need is you and Kristen Neri, the voice of the Pacers here, because the Pacers are on Amazon Prime later on tonight. But you're going to go check out the Boom tomorrow night.
Yeah, tomorrow night, Motor City at the Arena at Innovation Mile. When I looked at my calendar, it was like, I want to get out there. And sometimes it's hard during the season with road trips and games like that. But looking forward to that. Kyle Guy, who is a part of the Boom, has just been announced that he's going to be a part of the qualifying team, the Team USA. You know how they'll take G League players and do that? So he's going to go away for a little bit to work out with USA basketball.
Which is probably not great for the Boom.
Not great, but I mean, it'll be interesting to see now that the Boom are home, how that affects, does Talon Peter, who's on a two-way contract, play a little bit? We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah. So
great building out there. Absolutely great building.
And listen, I begged Chad Buchanan a number of times. I said, hey, man, I don't need a 10-dayer. Just give me like a 10-hour. Go up there, hoop a little bit, see what happens right there. But what a great building.
Yeah, great building. I mean, it's what Mayor Jensen has done up in Noblesville. It's been outstanding. And to have the Pacers as a partner up there.
Yes.
And this is what the G League has done, John, is that you work out and train in your NBA team's facility so that you're home.
Yep.
And then you play your games somewhere on the outskirts of the city that you're in, and it's just fabulous.
Kristen Neri is going to be with us for the entirety of the game. Or I should say the entirety of the show. You can't beat that. Speaking of the game,
up
72-62 Butler. I can't see. What's the timeline?
2:52 to play. They've kept South Carolina at arm's length.
They have.
And so just do a really good job here in the final 2:52 and get another win.
Get another win for Thad Matta, the Butler Bulldogs. That's Kristen Neri. I'm JMV. On the other side, Joel Erickson. Good news about Daniel Jones. Are they going to have good news on Sunday at Arrowhead? Joel joins us on the other side. Voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fischer, still to come. Your chance to win Colts-Texans tickets right here on a Bud Light Blue Friday. The District Tap with damn good food on this Friday at Clearwater Crossing with 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Bowl in Santa Clara, I'm going to go with bullseye. I may never return. I may never. That's a dangerous combination right there. Hey, that is the laugh of Chris Denary, the voice of the Pacers, who has a rare night off because the Pacers in Cleveland tonight. They're on Amazon Prime. And we're live at the District Tap, Clearwater Crossing Northside, Bud Light Blue Friday, Colts Texans tickets to give away. I see a lot of familiar faces out there, and I love you all for joining us. And it's great that Chris is with us throughout as we go until 5:30.
Yeah,
tonight.
glad to be here. Julie Erickson coming up, Don Fischer,
Yes.
who I've known for many years. And you're right, it's an Amazon Prime game. It's an NBA Cup night. So you'll see in Cleveland, they'll have their cup floor. So, yeah, a night off for us. And then the Pacers are back home on Monday against Detroit. Go to Toronto the night before Thanksgiving. And then a week from tonight, it's the traditional home game the night after Thanksgiving. Washington and Chicago back-to-back. So once they cycle through 2 of the next 3 on the road, then the Pacers have 4 straight at home.
I'm going to tell you, you think about Cleveland and how they probably feel toward the Pacers last year. Yes. And it wasn't just the Pacers going out and beating them, but beating them in excruciating fashion.
Yeah, 4-1.
I mean, really, it was like a series full of Pacer and how they feel with Game 7 against OKC.
Yeah,
it was
no
a
question.
series long.
I mean, if you look at it, and I've said this, you've got a lot of teams that no matter who's on the floor for the Pacers, no matter what injuries they have, when they walk in a building, teams look at Indiana across the chest and say, that was a team that was in the NBA Finals.
There's no question.
And so, you've got the rivalry with Detroit. You've got the rivalry, of course, with Milwaukee, the Knicks. And, Cleveland's not going to like the fact that they got almost swept last year. It was a 4-1 series in Indiana's
I think it was
favor.
a Game 3 the Pacers lost at home, right?
Then they won Game 4 and then
yeah.
won Game 5. I mean, that was what was most impressive, John, is that with a 3-1 lead, they went to Cleveland and ended the series.
Right. That's so. I mean, the first 2 up there.
Yeah.
I mean, especially in Game 2 with how they ended up winning that with Halliburton. It was great stuff. That's Chris Denary. I'm JMV District Tap Northside. Thank you all for joining us. But on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, I think we have some good injury news in our guest today. You can catch him on Fox 59, First and Joel. He's from the Indianapolis Star. He's on top of it all. He's our good friend Joel A. Erickson, who joins us now. Good afternoon, Joel. How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
I want to mention, since I have you here, and you and I and Chris Denary, who's along with us, Joel, we're all really tight, really close friends with Chris Hagan. And I want to mention again, I talked about this earlier this week, but Chris's mom passed away in Alabama earlier this week at the age of 84. And he normally is here, and we're all having a really good time. But we do recognize what Chris is going through right now and the loss of his mom, because Chris means a great deal not only to us, but a lot of people here and certainly a lot of people out there. And we want to make sure everybody knows we're thinking about Chris with the loss of his mother earlier this week, Joel.
Yeah, heart goes out to Chris. Just awful. Can't imagine, going through it. So just heart goes out, prayers go out to Chris as he's going through that.
Yeah, I was unexpected of that call. I think it came on Monday night. About 1:30 in the morning, and normally those times are reserved for Jake Query or Chris Hagan.
Right.
And this normally something completely different, but with that, it was tough.
Yeah.
And I know how much, obviously, he feels. And I met his mom a couple of different times. Chris, I don't know if you ever met
Great.
her.
I mean, I met Chris many years ago. It's hard to believe he's been in Indianapolis for, 25 years.
Yes.
But he and I worked together at Fox 59. Great person. And my heart goes out to him. I know what it's like. I've lost both parents. It's tough, but I know Chris will persevere and he'll honor his mom as she passed away.
All right, Joe, and there's no really good way to transition from that, just our thoughts with Chris. But, hey, let's get to the game coming up on Sunday and start with the injury situation. And good news, I guess, today regarding Daniel Jones, right?
Yeah. It just doesn't sound like they're very
very worried about Daniel Jones. They said calf, but initially yesterday, but it turns out it's more of a fibula. The thing I think that really sticks out to me is just that they're not going to activate Brett Rippon, who's on the practice squad. That's the number 3 quarterback. I think if you were worried about Daniel Jones' leg, you probably have him up and as the emergency quarterback this week. Shane Steichen said they weren't going to do that. So it seems like they feel pretty good about where Jones' leg is.
Joel, when you flip to the Colts defense, I heard Mike Chappell yesterday with JMV, just how good this Colts secondary is. They've invested a lot, and they've gotten a lot in return. What are your expectations of this Colts secondary on Sunday against perhaps the best quarterback in the NFL?
Yeah, well, when they traded for Sauce Gardner, this is before Charvarius Ward came back. I was talking to Chris Hewitt, the pass game coordinator on defense, about adding Sauce, and he kind of said point blank, we want to play man. We want to play press man. We want to be able to have guys that can match up against receivers and take them away. Getting Gardner does that. Getting Ward back does that even more. And I think the biggest thing is, if you look at Patrick Mahomes' splits this year, he's been much, much better against zone coverage than he has against man. Against zone coverage, he looks like the best quarterback in the NFL. Against man coverage, he's looked much more manageable. I don't know if that's a receiver thing or them just not separating the same way, but those are the numbers right now. And I think that's what I'm expecting, is to see a man-heavy approach. And I'm curious to see what they do with Travis Kelce. Those two guys, Ward and Gardner on the outside. Does that free up extra people to kind of take away Patrick Mahomes' security blanket?
Here's the thing that I was concerned about, and I kind of wonder, Joel, and I know you've done, obviously, this research and this recon regarding the Chiefs, but they have not been able to put, kind of like the Colts in this fashion, consistent pressure on the quarterback that is necessary. But we have seen with the Colts that quarterback pressure has been there, and then that has disrupted the ball security of the quarterback, Daniel Jones, which is something after Pittsburgh and Atlanta and Berlin, hopefully that the Colts have found a solution for. But to me, if Steve Spagnuolo can dial something up on Sunday where they get, for the first time really this season, that consistent quarterback pressure they're looking for, then I think definitely, as I said a little bit earlier with the Colts, Houston, we have a problem.
Well, I think though the hard part's going to be he's going to have to send some blitzes, which hasn't worked for really anybody except Atlanta so far this year. Because if you look at the numbers right now, Chris Jones just doesn't look quite like Chris Jones. He's still a good player, still obviously somebody you got to worry about, but he hasn't been dominant on the inside for the Chiefs. And I don't know if you can get there with 4. I think coming off the bye, they're probably going to have a pretty good plan for how they want to handle the blitz, maybe closer to what we saw earlier in the season when they played blitzing teams like Miami or Denver. But that's kind of what I'm expecting. The other guy to watch is George Karlaftis, the former Purdue player who's on the defensive end, but he's going up against Braden Smith, and Smith has been, for the most part, rock solid this year.
Joel, you feel like Kansas City has their backs to the wall. They're 5-5. They really can't afford another loss. I mean, they're on the outside looking in, of course, third in their division. They really can't afford losing too many games. So their backs are to the wall, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. If you look at the AFC playoff picture right now, there are 10 teams at 5-5 or better. And the 3 teams that aren't currently on the inside of the playoff picture have C.J. Stroud, Patrick Mahomes, and Lamar Jackson at quarterback. I think the Chiefs have maybe the hardest schedule of any of those teams. So if they lose this game, they're kind of in a we've got to win out type of scenario to feel like they're going to get in the playoffs. So I would expect the Chiefs to the thing is with the Chiefs, you expect them to play well in these big game situations. They've been in so many of them. It's just I think this year we were expecting to see a little bit more from them, and they haven't been able to finish games.
To Joel A. Erickson of the Star. First and Joel on Fox 59. Arrowhead, the site, 10 a.m. Colts pregame huddle starts with me, Casey Valier, and Bill Brooks coming up on Sunday morning. Joel's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. So I had Cam Bynum on the show yesterday, which you can imagine it was absolutely outstanding because he's just got the most incredible personality ever. But we're going to see this secondary that we've been so excited about seeing together, right, for the first time ever on Sunday, right? That's the expectation, correct?
That's what we're expecting. We're expecting to see Ward and Gardner on the outside, Kenny Moore on the inside, and then Bynum and Cross at the two safety spots. And then I think I'm interested to see what they do on third down when they bring somebody else on. Is it Mekhi Blackman for maybe Xavier Worthy? Although I didn't see the injury report, he was kind of dealing with an ankle. Or is it Jalen Jones to kind of work with Travis Kelce? I don't know what to expect.
What do you expect from Ward? I mean, is it going to be like instantaneous? Here's my thing. My thing with fans, they're going to expect all of a sudden, like they did with Sauce Gardner in Berlin, this high level of play. And with Gardner, I felt watching him against the Falcons, then when he was going instinctually, he was really good. But there were times, because he was so new to the program, that it looked like he had to stop and think for a click or a half a second about where he needs to be in this whole process. And that's why he was a little bit different. How is this all going to operate, you think, in the secondary with this group on Sunday? Because there is going to be certainly a high level of expectations for everybody.
Yeah, I'm not really expecting Ward to have any of those moments, obviously, since he's been with the defense all offseason. You're right. There was Sauce Gardner himself said that the pass he gave up to Mooney, he was supposed to stay in press on that one, and he dropped off thinking it was a different coverage. And so, that's kind of the unfamiliarity of the system kind of playing with it. But I do think with Ward, this is a guy who's been in the league a long time. Guys like that, when they come back, usually can hit the ground running. I don't know that means no catches, but, yeah, I do think generally it's pretty good.
Hey, Joel, I hate to reemphasize or maybe too much talk about this offensive line, but what do you think the solution is for this? Do we know what the solution is, or do we have to wait and see what it might be? Because it's been a couple of different variations of how teams have gotten after Daniel Jones and really penetrated the offensive line in the fashion in which we have seen the last two games. Is there a type of solution that you expect to see from the Colts coming up on Sunday, especially against the Chiefs team that historically speaking this season doesn't really put too much pressure on the quarterback?
No, they're 20th and 22nd in sacks and pressure rate. They're not the Chiefs teams that you think of from the past, at least in terms of pass rush. I think some of it is blitz pickup, and that is, Jonathan Taylor's been really good in that all year, but I know Chris Ballard said last week in an interview with former NFL coach Mike Tice that he had a couple of moments in Berlin that he hadn't had. So just kind of cleaning some of that up. I think one of the other things is Jones hasn't really held the ball as a whole. His time to throw was actually faster against the Steelers and against the Falcons than it has been on average all season. They're just in terms of a couple of plays, maybe looking to hit something down the field, held it just a little bit longer than he wanted to. Just kind of cleaning all that up and getting it all figured out, and then. I think, like I said, the biggest thing is the Steelers game felt like those two outside rushers really kind of won their battle. I don't know that I really see any of the Chiefs guys. There's no T.J. Watt on the Chiefs. I like George Karlaftis a lot. He's not T.J. Watt. And so I think I feel a little bit better about those outside rushers. It's the blitz pickup. Because Spagnuolo, as you know, a guy who's very, very creative with blitzes. Very interested to see, how they handle the blitz this week.
Well, and Chris Jones, their guy's also been a bit unspectacular so far this season, more times than not. Joel A. Erickson of the Star. is on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. We know, obviously, what you do is you go to your guy who should be the MVP this point of the season, Jonathan Taylor. But the one thing, Joel, that I have noticed about Kansas City, they have struggled with the tight end position. So I'm assuming more so than we have seen with the rookie tight end Tyler Warren this season, he is going to be at a premium in usage for the Colts on Sunday. That seems like big-time advantage Colts to me.
Yeah, if you look at the Chiefs' coverage numbers, the two corners, McDuffie and Watson, they don't have, like, spectacular numbers, but they have pretty solid numbers on the outside. The middle of the field, though, like you're saying, the linebackers, the safeties, their coverage numbers are really rough. And so I especially if they're going to blitz a lot, you know, is this Tyler Ward, is this Josh Downs on some hot routes, that kind of thing. Michael Pittman working over the middle. Do you target that part of the defense where the Chiefs have kind of struggled this year in the passing game?
Yeah, I just think that if the Colts end up winning, and this is not like, you know, this any great thought, if they end up winning, then I think Tyler Warren's going to have a great deal to do with that. Because I think this point in the season, certainly you can change for the better, you can change for the worse. I mean, we've kind of seen that on both sides. Certainly we saw that last night with the Houston Texans. But what you can do is, yeah, I think you can remain the same, and Tyler Warren certainly has been that so far, and I think that's a go-to, absolutely offensively for Shane Steichen and the Colts on Sunday.
Yeah, you kind of saw it in Berlin. That Falcons team is another team with pretty good outside corners, and they kind of had to go to Tyler Warren, especially down the stretch. He made the biggest plays in the passing game, the ones that Jonathan Taylor needed to finish them off. I think you could maybe see that again this week against the Chiefs.
You know, it's funny in closing here at Joel A. Erickson of the Star and First and Joel on Fox 59, who's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I think about this. I believe if the Colts, you know, have an ending stretch run of the season, as a lot of people hope and expect here, and that starts on Sunday in Kansas City, we're going to look back on that third and long scramble in Berlin from Daniel Jones on that drive to tie it as maybe the most crucial point or play that was made of the season right there. And it still didn't promise anything. You still had to convert fourth down to Tyler Warren. But I think you're going to look back on that as you normally have these signature moments in a season in which things turn for the better or the worse. And I think if it turns for the better, that's going to be it.
There were a handful of plays there that Jones made. I think, you know, with the turnovers, with his previous reputation, the focus from a lot of people in the moment, at least from what I could tell from Berlin, was I don't know if Daniel Jones played all that great 2 weeks in a row, but if you think about Jonathan Taylor was absolutely brilliant down the stretch there. But the scramble, that 4th and 2 to Warren, where he had to give somebody a chance, and then obviously the gorgeous throw in overtime to kind of put them in JT, we can just hand this to JT mode. Those 3 plays in crunch time, like that's really what you want from your quarterback. And I think if his name wasn't Daniel Jones, I think you're looking at it as most people are looking at it as more of a resilient thing. It just feels like nationally and maybe even locally, people are kind of still waiting for the other shoe to drop on him. And maybe, you know, in that game looked a little bit more at the negative instead of the positive plays they made down the stretch.
Is this a referendum on the Colts between being good or a product of their so far season schedule for you, or are they already solidified to you? What's this game rep to you on Sunday?
I think I wouldn't say that. I think the what they did through the first part of it, being 8-2, I think the fact that the Chiefs are in a desperate big game situation kind of nullifies that a little bit for me. The one thing I do think is, you know, you don't feel real comfortable even at 8-2 in the division. You really don't necessarily feel comfortable at 8-3 in the division because, you know, the Texans have already won this week. The Jaguars don't really play a lot of people down the stretch. Now, I think there are major issues with both of those teams, but you don't feel like you can – and obviously the Colts have, you know, all of their games against those two teams coming up. They can kind of take care of business on their own. But I just think, you know, you just can't feel as a Colts fan, you know, super, like, I can rest easy in the division just quite yet.
Can't. Joel A. Erickson of the Star. He's got First and Joel on Fox 59, staked out at Arrowhead. Coming up on Sunday for the Week 12 matchup in Kansas City with the Colts and the Chiefs. And Joel's on the Eddie Moore Automotive Group hotline. Joel, you and Chris Denary hang next time. I know you got a lot going on going into the weekend and a flight out to Kansas City, but next time you got to join us, maybe next week. How about that?
Oh, my mom's in town next week.
Oh, well, bring her. Well, brothers in Broad. Hey, brothers in Broad Ripple next week for your mom. She will love it. I promise. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate you.
You bet. We'll see you later.
Joel A. Erickson, Chris Denary of the Star, right there.
Yeah, I love the stuff that he puts out. All the writers. I'm a big fan of how they cover IU and Purdue and the Pacers and the Colts and the Fever. Must read. I mean, if you're gonna follow your teams, you got to make sure you follow those writers.
All right, so that's what you got. 10 a.m. The Colts pregame huddle with me starts at 10 a.m. coming up on Sunday morning. This is our Bud Light Blue Friday. Zink is here. Your chance to win Colts tickets here. Here is the district tap on the north side. Chris Denary, who is off tonight, even though the Pacers are playing on the road in Cleveland, will rejoin on the other side. Our good friend Jimmy has a question, and we do have time at 239-1070 if you guys want to work in some calls, especially if you have any for Chris Denary right here, we can do that. Don Fischer, voice of the Hoosiers, top of the hour. Win Schuler's Spreadability. Original sharp cheddar, bacon and cheddar, jalapeno pepper. Got you covered for all your snacking needs. I'm telling you, elite level snacking for your tailgates, your parties, or just hanging out watching the game alone. It is all good with the spreadability of Win Schuler's. You can find that Neiman's Harvest Market. You can find it at Gordon's Food Service or your favorite Meijer location in the state of Indiana. Win Schuler's. Chris Denary and you and more at 239-1070 coming up. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
in Cleveland. The game is national only on Amazon Prime.
That's why.
Part of the new national deal.
I just got a text message. Who's filling in for Daenerys tonight while he's getting drunk with you?
So there are 8 games this year right now that we don't do. There's an NBC game later in the year at home against Minnesota, a prime game the night after Thanksgiving or night after Christmas against Boston. I think it's 4 prime games, 3 Peacock, and 1 NBC. So those are the 8 that we won't do. We'll do 74 of the 82. So that's why I'm here. So
I love the fact that you're here, though. I'm kind of glad you have it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm attracted to a microphone, right? I'm getting plenty. I'm getting 2.5 hours of airtime, just like I would get later tonight.
That sounds like a sports arousal, the term we use on this show all the time. Hey, Chris, we have a familiar face before us right here. It's our good friend Jimmy. Jimmy, go ahead, Devin, pot up Jimmy's mic right there. Jimmy, you have a question for me or Chris? Probably Chris, right?
Yeah, Chris, actually.
All right.
Thanks for having me on, John.
You got it, buddy.
First off, before my question to Chris, I just wanted to pay my respects to the other Chris Hagan.
Yes.
You know how close we are, like I am with you, John. And back in the day, Chris Hagan actually invited me to in the studio when you had the Sunday night, when you actually had an audience on the Sunday overtime show.
I remember they brought in an audience to that. That is funny, man.
My dad and I go way back with you and Chris, obviously. So my heart goes out to Chris, and I'm thinking about him. So, but my NBA question for you, Chris, is: are you surprised at all the level of intensity and energy that the Pacers are still bringing to every game, even though they've been injury plagued, and everyone else, it seems like, is giving up on them already?
Yeah, I mean, they still want to play the same way. I see the heart and soul. I mean, things didn't go right there for an 8-game stretch. You know, it's been a tough season. They've had more 5-man lineups than any team in the NBA thus far. And I think so much of a burden was on Pascal Siakam and Andrew Nembhard to sort of carry things offensively. I think with Benedict Mathurin back, you will see, and we saw that the other night against Charlotte, I just think they looked a lot more comfortable because they had somebody else that could help. I also think that you saw the combination of Jay Huff and Isaiah Jackson do what we hope that they'll do. Jay can hit those outside shots, spread the floor, and Isaiah's played really well. I mean, over the last 10 games, I think he's averaged 10 points and about 8 rebounds. So it's taken some time. You know, when you looked out there at one point, you didn't have a second unit. There was no T.J. McConnell. He missed the first 10 games. There was no Obi Toppin. Benedict Mathurin was a part of that second unit last year, and they were so good at either taking a lead and extending it, or if the team got off to a slow start, they would get the lead. So, no, and I think the fan base has been great. To your point, and I'll say this, through the first 13 or 14 games, our TV ratings are up and our streaming numbers are up.
Good.
And that's great to see that the fan base is still there. You know, they've gotten off to a slow start, got off to a really slow start last year, not like this year, but we see it's a long season. And to John's point, Benedict Mathurin says, why not win 10 straight?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the story. So I appreciate it. I see Jimmy at lots of Pacers games,
yes, you do.
and always happy to see it, Jimmy.
Thanks, guys. One more thing. I want to give JJ a shout out. He used to give me a bunch of grief for occasionally wearing opponent team
a different jersey
during Superstar, but I've turned the corner and I'm all. Thanks, guys.
All right, thanks,
Jimmy right there. Oh, what's JJ doing today, by the way? He's off too, right?
He's off too, right?
Oh.
Yeah, we have some time off.
We don't know.
Well, his son, Preston, is a junior at Zionsville, played football, and now plays basketball.
Okay.
So they open next week against Carmel on Tuesday. Right. So I'm sure JJ, in fact, he sent me a text the other night. I think Zionsville scrimmaged Lawrence North the other night. So I'm looking forward to seeing Preston play some high school basketball this year.
Yeah, good for JJ right there. That's Kristen Neri. He's going to hang the entire time. I should remind you, we got to bail here at 5:30 for Colts Happy Hour because the Pacers do have a Pacer pregame show here on the Fan coming up at 6:30.
And I will join Eddie White tonight from my house with a recap. I always join the world's greatest postgame show after each and every game, home or road, win or loss. So I'm there every night.
And I, because Don Fisher is going to join us at the top of the hour, will join Don and Susie Fisher at our table down in Bargersville tonight at 7 o'clock. So, yes, he already has texted me. And there is nothing better than going to our table in Bargersville with Don and Susie Fisher. It is the highlight. I mean, it is absolutely awesome.
I have known both of those for about 40-some years.
Are they the best people of all time?
And I've known Susie when I worked at Channel 59 the first time, and she was with Network Indiana. Network Indiana was in our TV our building on Meridian Street. That's when I met Susie, and I've known her ever since. She's been with the Pacers for a long time, 40 years, I think. I mean,
it's incredible.
Something like that.
It is. Love that. Don's going to join us top of the hour. Chris and I come back on the other side, too. Bud Light Blue Friday, the District Tap, Clearwater Crossing. They have damn good food. You know that to be true, and TVs everywhere. Butler a winner over South Carolina a little bit earlier today. Next up, Virginia. Boilermakers a winner last night. They beat Memphis. They get Texas Tech coming up tonight in the Bahamas. I think that's a 9:30 tip. IU a winner last night over Lindenwood. Of course, no IU or Purdue. You got the bucket game coming up a week from Saturday. More bullseye passes to give away, and your chance to win Colts tickets coming up as well. Remember the Colts pregame huddle. Colts and Chiefs, Daniel Jones good to go, and we're finally going to see that secondary with Mooney Ward back there with Ward and Gardner and Moore and Cross and Bynum coming up on Sunday. Colts pregame huddle gets you started 10 a.m. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan, and Country 97.1 Hank FM. Let's take a break. We'll come back. Chris and I on the other side. Do not go anywhere. Don Fisher about 15 minutes away on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. for being a part of Singing in the Rain. That is good friend Kristen Airy. Normally, the voice of the Pacers, off tonight is the Pacers on the road at Cleveland. Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime. It'll be really, really weird to sit in my house and watch a Pacers game. It will remind me of the playoffs.
It will.
And I was there game 1 against the Knicks in my living room when Tyrese hit the shot that forced overtime, that bounced up and nearly hit the top of Madison Square Garden.
Incredible stuff. You think of that run. That entire run was nuts.
John, I have said this, and, I hope there's a lot more in the future, but what we saw Tyrese Halliburton do in the playoffs, I'm not sure you'll ever see one player do that again. Think about it. In
Milwaukee.
The Milwaukee, Game 5. Cleveland, Game 2. Mm-hmm. New York, Game 1. Oklahoma City, Game 1.
Yeah.
I mean, incredible.
It is incredible.
Yeah.
And the bounce in New York, and then having to come back and play in overtime after that.
After you do the choke sign to Spike Lee that you thought won the game, you've got to come back and win that in overtime.
That's man.
I mean, that's incredible.
That is stuff of legend right there. Hey, Chris, our good friend Brandon is here today. Brandon, how are you?
How you doing, John?
Good, buddy.
Now, do you remember the song I asked you to play for Saturday night?
Oh, my God.
Was it Chronicles or something like that?
It was a what? No, what? Chronicles.
It wasn't Chronicles, was it?
No, I don't think it was Chronicles. I don't know a song named Chronicles.
No, but it was a group, wasn't it? I can't remember.
You know what? You just told me yesterday, didn't you?
Yeah.
My short term, Brandon, is so foobar.
Brandon just reminded me back when I did the Colts post-game show.
Yeah.
And then on occasion, I would do the Friday night show when Bob Lamey was going on the road. Brandon used to call in.
Yeah.
Brandon from Newcastle.
That's right. Brandon from Newcastle
and
right there.
Everybody remembers me. I'm a big Bengal fan, a Colts fan, but I want the Colts to win Sunday. And it's good seeing you, Chris. And John, it's always good. I just want to wish everybody happy Thanksgiving and happy holidays out there. And Eddie White, if you're listening, mention my name sometimes on the show.
Damn straight he will, and I know he's listening right now. There's no doubt about that.
But everybody out there, have a good holiday. Go Pacers, go Colts. And Chris, we're so glad you're here, buddy.
Oh, thank you very much.
Brandon, good to hang out with you, bud.
All right, buddy.
That is Brandon right there on the JMV Takeover, the final one for Season 5 tomorrow night on B105.7, where we're going to just do basically anything from 6 until midnight. And then with the Christmas music, thank you, Derek, the Christmas music hiatus comes up on B105.7 until New Year's Eve.
I could see you doing a Christmas show, going from Frosty the Snowman to...
Little Burl Ives, Silver and Gold.
That's right.
Yeah. I could probably get away with about 30 minutes worth.
So what is tomorrow night? What are we looking at?
I think we're going to do about anything.
Anything.
Yeah, I mean,
so we can go from
some exceptions.
We can go from Earth, Wind. For me,
yes.
We could go from Earth, Wind, and Fire to Hootie and the Blowfish.
Correct, easily. Yeah, and normally what we do anyway, we span decades, 70s, 80s, and 90s. I don't often get into the 2000s. Or anything today, but I may dabble in that if need be coming up tomorrow night, because we got to end this thing with the finale. You got to end it with a bang. So the way that it goes. But no, I mean it is fun as hell. I still have a great time doing it, and
it is live and local.
It is live. It is local, and Chris, you know this to be true. Nobody does that anywhere, not just in Indy. But nationwide, that doesn't happen because people so half-ass the world of radio now, especially musical radio. And I got to give a shout-out to Sean Copeland for allowing me to do this, because there are very few, if any, people like Sean that would say, oh, yeah, we're going to get the sports guy in the afternoon who's very bombastic, very outspoken, and cusses all the time. Yeah, go ahead and do whatever you want for 6 hours on my top-rated radio show in this market, or radio station in this market, and he allows me to do that. That's
I was quite, if I think about it, I think a better day for me to come today, District Tap. I was laughing yesterday when I was mowing the lawn at you guys.
Yeah.
You guys it was pretty good. I mean.
It was, it gets a little, sometimes, and I hear from people going, hey, sometimes your language, and my kids are in the car, and my advice to you is always this, because I gave this treatment to my kids. I said, the reason why he's saying that is because he's an adult and you're not.
Right.
And that's your ass if you say it.
Right.
All right?
Right.
I'm the person that says don't say it.
Yeah.
All right? So that's really, in this world, all you have to do is say, don't.
Right.
That's it.
Yep.
That's all I did with my kids. And
I was
worked.
hoping, I know we've got Don Fischer here at the top of the hour. I was hoping for a little Wells time. Mike Wells.
I thought that he was, I don't know. I know that Brownsburg has that big game tonight with Warren. I'm assuming he's over there shaking hands and kissing babies.
Kissing babies and getting ready.
So, But I mean,
it could be that rematch, Brownsburg Westfield again.
Yeah.
In the 6A state championship
that
game.
is, and no disrespect to Warren Central, because they have gotten a lot better. Beating Center Grove in the fashion which they did last week down
very impressive.
in Johnson County was impressive. But, man, Brownsburg and Oscar Fry. Oscar Fry is the grandson of Dan Osborne, who still does a lot of Pacers commercials, but has long time been a commercial voice in this market, and Sarah Ritter. And he is the grandson, and he is absolutely fantastic for Brownsburg as the quarterback. Split time a year ago, the guy this year, we've seen the results.
Yeah, I mean, it's so good. What happens in our state is the football finals, Lucas Oil Stadium, basketball finals, boys, girls, volleyball this year was great.
Correct.
At Gamebridge Fieldhouse. I mean, it's just that partnership that this state, this city, and the franchises have so that they can play these state championship games where they deserve to be played.
I should remind, too, because I think Jake's got a noon show on Monday where he's going to be live because the Indian Night, the professional volleyball team's having their draft.
Right.
And he's going to be up at Parks Place Pub in Fishers with Matt Sleeter. Matt Sleeter's a good friend of the show. We're up there all the time. And Jake's going to do his noon show when that draft is going on. So that just shows you the evolution of how big that is now.
The Ignite had a great year. I mean, they had a great year last year in their first year in professional volleyball here.
Fisher's Event Center is awesome, too. Denari's going to hang. Don Fisher's going to join us on the other side. And Win Schuler's going to give you the elite level of snackability. You're going to find Win Schuler's spreadability elite level-wise with original sharp cheddar bacon and cheddar and jalapeno pepper. You're going to find that right now, seriously, in Carmel, easily found. And they have everything for you at Neiman's Harvest Market. Your favorite Meyer location and Gordon's Food Service. That is the spreadability of Win Schuler's. Bud Light Blue Friday, Northside, Clearwater Crossing. We are at the District Tap. Damn good food, TVs everywhere. The ultimate in your experience, the District Tap. Don Fisher, Kristen Airy, and more. Other side, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. You got the two locations downtown and here on the north side. We're at the north side location, too. Deb's the on-site engineer. We got Kevin and Ethan here handling things and promotions. Kristen Airy of the Pacers, the voice of the Pacers, also on board. And a busy show, which, by the way, ends coming up at the bottom of the hour for the Colts Happy Hour. And then the Pacers on the road in Cleveland, of which, Kristen Airy, you're not calling. That's on Amazon tonight.
That is why I am here. I did not accompany the team, our TV crew, Quinn Buckner, Jeremiah Johnson, our crew. We did not go to Cleveland because it's on Amazon Prime.
Right.
And
so you get to drink a lot of beers,
no,
Bud Light,
you know
beers
me. Look,
with me.
I've hardly had any.
Me too.
But I have a former neighbor here, Susan.
I love Susan.
Who listens to you every day.
Thank you, Susan.
And so she is here, and we're visiting. We lived in our neighborhood for about 18 years, and she was behind us. So, yeah.
Well, me and you and Susan and our next guest on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline right now with IU will win over Lindenwood, sitting idle, getting ready for the bucket game in West Lafayette next Saturday, and has invited me, along with his incredible wife, Susie, to our table down in Bargersville, which I will be doing later on tonight. Voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fischer, joins us. Hello, Don. How are you?
I'm good, John. How about yourself?
Oh, I cannot wait. 7 o'clock for all of us to hang at our table later on tonight. You guys eat and I drink beer, which is par for the course.
But at some point, you're going to have some other sustenance besides beer.
I think it is okay. I want to give you a shout too, because you showed up at Upstairs Pub for me last Thursday, and we're finishing up our conversation. Then all of a sudden, I see a very familiar face poke his head around the corner, and I think that was a moment, was it not, Don? We got 45 seconds on this show from Buck Sewer last Thursday. Is that a moment?
Yeah, that's a moment, because that's about all you're going to get out of Buck. He's not going to do many of those. And the only reason he came out there, and he was actually headed to the library, which is a speakeasy kind of place, if you know what I'm saying. They were it's up there on the same level as the Upstairs Pub, and the only reason he even walked in there is because I grabbed a hold of him and pulled him in there to make sure that he saw you. And then, of course, I guess you got him on for 45 seconds, which is a new record.
45 seconds of incredible content with Buck Sewer. You know, and I think now, you and I have always kind of bounced this back and forth jokingly, where I was never going to give him on. Now I can say he's been on, so I'm good.
Well, I know if you got him on for 45 seconds, you actually had him on, so that's key. That's key.
Yes, it is. Go ahead, Chris.
Don, Kristen Airy, with no TV tonight. I'm here with John for the last 2.5 hours. Enjoyed the time, but you've done this for a long time, broadcast a lot of games, national championship teams, very successful teams. But what has this football run meant to you as a broadcaster for IU Sports?
Well, without question, Chris, it's just the delight of my life at this point in my life, if you know what I mean, because we've never seen anything like this in Indiana. Indiana had the losingest record in Division I history up until maybe just a couple of weeks or 3 weeks ago. I don't know when we got out of that level of commentary. But nevertheless, this football team over the last 2 years has just been remarkable. It's been a renaissance for the Indiana football program, no question about that. What Kurt Cignetti has done is anything but spectacular. It's spectacular, and then there are all kinds of other adjectives you could use, and all put together, maybe you could encompass it. But there's no doubt this has just been it's just been so much fun to be a part of, number one, and then number two, to see Indiana football grow like this in such a short time, and the Hoosier Nation embrace it like they have. It's just been tremendous.
There are rare things that happen that seem to be perfect, Don, in what we do and what we cover and what we talk about. It seems like that was the perfect moment with the perfect person and the perfect group, and what obviously Scott Dolson and company wanted for this football program. I mean, rarely do you ever see anything come together in the fashion in which this IU football program, and especially in this short amount of time.
Well, that's the most remarkable thing, that he has done this from the very moment he stepped on campus. And he transformed the Hoosier Nation almost immediately with his very first comments at that Maryland basketball game when he was introduced to the crowd. And obviously, from that moment on, you just knew something was totally different about this guy and about what he projected this program could be. And there's little question that he's a remarkable guy in that sense. He's different. He's quirky, a little bit quirky, but he's a tremendous person on top of that. And his philosophy, it works. And you can see other coaches now embracing some of the things that he says, not necessarily saying the same things, but you can see that he has transformed some coaches into guys that maybe have changed their philosophy a little bit of how they go about things. And if they haven't seen that, then they're missing the boat, because this guy knows exactly what he's doing. And his program, I think it transcends just about anything we've ever seen. And the fact that you getting coaches fired like they have been fired this year, and he's getting credit for some of that in the sense of, why can't you do it right away? Why can't you get this done at a place that's never been done before? So we're seeing a lot of things that he has defined here for Indiana football that's probably going to transcend to other programs as well.
Don, the weekend off, next Friday is the bucket game, a night game. Is this the first night game, bucket game that IU and Purdue have played?
To my knowledge, it is. I can't remember. Look, Chris, you got to understand one thing. I'm an old person now, and I don't remember half of what's going on, yesterday, much less the last 10 or 20 or 30 years. But I can tell you that I don't ever remember a bucket game under the lights. So, yes, it's the first one that I can be aware of.
Did they not play the bucket game last year under the lights?
I can't.
No.
I can't. No, I can't remember.
Because I know it was freezing ass cold, Don, and I went down there to go to the game, and I stayed at the Crazy Horse instead.
Well, no wonder you didn't remember where it was a night or a day game.
I said, to hell with this. I'm going to sit on this bar stool.
I guess I was going to say, if a game started like at 3:30, it would be dark.
It might have been,
by the time. But this is a true night game with a 7:30 start.
I know it. I was cold last year. I can't lie. It was freezing. I was done. Yeah, I was cold and freezing.
It was a cold day.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
it was very cold, and
Indiana
Indiana blew them out too. So that was the other aspect of it, why people didn't hang around all game long.
So Don Fischer, voice of the Hoosiers on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. You look at Fernando Mendoza, and man, I always want to talk up Curtis Rourke, because I thought last year, that dude was such a dog. He was injured, played through it. Nobody ever really knew, and we saw how that season went. Where has this quarterback play with this team from Mendoza been compared to just what was the toughness factor and what was accomplished a year ago with Rourke?
Well, I think it's what you see with Fernando is a guy that knows exactly what he wants to do with his life. I'm really impressed with him. He did a press conference this past week during the bye week that was just remarkable and phenomenal in that sense. Answered every question, knew exactly what he needed to say and what he wanted to say. I was really impressed with everything he said in that press conference. But then on top of that, his skill level is terrific. There's no question he's got all the talent to be an NFL quarterback. He's got the size. He's got the speed. He's learned a lot in this last year now in the spring practices, the fall practices with Coach Signetti and with Chandler Whitner, the new quarterbacks coach who was with the Atlanta Falcons before that. I think it's helped him immensely in that context. And the happy feet that he had when he first got here, it was understandable because Cali got sacked over 40 sometimes. But he has gotten past that. I mean, every quarterback makes some decisions every now and then are not necessarily the right ones, or maybe makes a mistake or two. And he's had a few interceptions, only 4 or 5 so far this year. But at the same time, his arm talent is tremendous. He understands this offense. He credits his teammates all the time with his success. He just knows what he's doing, and I think he's definitely a Heisman Trophy candidate, if not the front runner at this point in the season, especially with what he did on that last drive against Penn State. It kind of showed exactly how good he is.
Yeah, you know what really I think doesn't get talked about too often is his movability, how he can scramble, because you don't certainly look at that initially. You just see the arm talent. But I think oftentimes, Don, and you're making these calls, it looks like he surprises the defense on the other side because he is so mobile and quick. And I don't think that's something a lot of people still to this date, even this deep in the season, kind of realize about his skill set.
Well, and I think that's a credit to the coaches and to his quarterback coach and to Kurt Cignetti, who, of course, has always mentored and been a part of the mentoring of the quarterbacks wherever he has been, because that's what he was as a player, and he stays very much with the offensive side of the football most of the time. But you're right. Mendoza sees the field really well, very much like Curtis Rourke. I would say that I'm not quite sure that he's as good as Curtis was, but he's close in regard to his decision making. And I think this guy has got the world by the tail once he leaves Indiana. I think he will be an NFL quarterback, and I think he'll be really good in the NFL because he's got the size and the mobility that you have to have if you're going to be a star in that league.
Hey, Don, let's flip to basketball. What have you liked most about this Hoosier basketball team in the first few games of the year?
I like how hard they play. I think they really understand that they're what I've been surprised about is not only how hard they play, but how hard they compete. In all the ball games that I've seen them play, and I saw them in the summertime in the Puerto Rican trip, and then of course in the exhibition games leading up to this season. But they play extremely hard. They are a team that's well put together. I think Darren DeVries did a terrific job of making sure he built that roster the way he sees it and the way he wants it. And I think these guys all fit. Whether they're as talented as some teams, they're not. I can see that already. But I do see that they have the ability to work as a team, and I love that about them because, let's face it, over the last few years, the style of play that Indiana has played, it just hasn't been the same as what we have expected to see from an Indiana basketball team. And with this ball club, the ball moves, it doesn't stick. There are guys that can shoot the three, which is we haven't had that in a long time. We've had maybe one guy that could in the past, and they never really worked to get him that many shots, whoever that may have been. But this team plays as a team. They can shoot the three. They can get up and down the floor. It's still lacking a little bit of talent out there, I think. But at the same time, they still haven't had their full complement of players together because they've had 4 of those guys injured through much of the preseason. Even in the summertime, many of these guys were hurt and didn't get a chance to play as much as they probably needed to at that point. And now they're just starting to get well again. They got Nick Dorn back. I think he's going to be a really good factor for this team as the season goes along, but he still hasn't practiced that much or been involved in that much of the games at this point. But they've got 3 other guys, too, that can play and I think could be really helpful to this ball club if they get healthy, and that thus far they have not been on the floor.
Yeah, Kansas State on Tuesday. I think that's a pretty decent test right there.
Oh, yeah. They beat Mississippi State. I think it was last night. They played in the Hall of Fame Classic out in Kansas City, Missouri. Kansas State beat Mississippi State. It was a solid performance for them. They had a guy that had 37 points. P.J. Haggerty had 37 in that ball game. They've got a lot of new faces on their ball club, Kansas State I'm talking about, and they had just a so-so season a year ago, but I think Jerome Tang, who's their coach, did a really good job of implementing some players in there, and they've got some holdovers from last season, and I think they look like a different basketball team than they were a year ago. So I think it's going to be a real strong test for Indiana. And they, incidentally, Kansas State plays Nebraska tonight. Nebraska and Kansas State are in that championship game of that Hall of Fame Classic.
So Don Fischer, voice of the Hoosiers, he's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Before I let you go, and I know that there's still a game to be played, but have you allowed yourself to think about what Lucas Oil Stadium will be like if we're talking the championship game? I cannot imagine what that thing's going to look like. Before, during, that's going to be incredible. Obviously, there's still another step to take, but incredible nonetheless.
Well, there's no question. If Indiana beats Purdue and they get into that title ball game, it's likely that it'll be against Ohio State. Now, Michigan might have something to say about that, or whoever they.
Yeah.
I haven't even looked at the schedule for this week. I know they're going to be playing
Rutgers.
another. Yeah, Rutgers. That's right.
Yeah,
they will have no
week,
problem there. Yeah, they'll have no problem there. So it's likely going to be Indiana and Ohio State. Indiana's got to keep its head on straight. Unlike the players themselves, we, of course, always project things that we probably shouldn't.
Yes,
but at the same time, I do think Indiana's going to win, you know. But I'm just so excited about being a part of that. We've got a basketball game that day, too. I still haven't decided whether I'm going to be able to do both or not at this juncture, but I'd love to. But if there is one to pick from, you know exactly what I'm going to choose, and that's going to be the football game.
So what's the – okay, I hate to do this because famous last words here, but it's Louisville, right? Correct?
Louisville's the basketball game. Yeah,
at the
Louisville at
Fieldhouse?
Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Yep.
So what's the overlapping time? What are we dealing with here?
Well, the basketball game is probably not going to end much before 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And the football game, we would go on the air at 7 o'clock that evening. So it's a real short turnaround, if you can imagine. And, you know, when you're doing both, you've got to, especially of this magnitude, you got to have the voice. And I'm working like crazy, taking the vitamin C and everything I can take to make sure I don't get some stinking cold before we go on the air in one of those ball games.
Well, okay, so here's what we do. So this would be the 5th of December on a Friday. You and I will go to our table and drink all the bourbon we can, and we'll make sure that fights off any possible cold you can get. And you'll be absolutely ready to do both.
Well, here's what you need to know, John. I am the biggest lightweight in the history of drinking, so I would not be able to get up the next day if I drank with you all night long.
No. Just follow my path on this. Yeah, I mean, any type of sickness that might even try to infiltrate your being, we'll fight that off. That's what we'll do. Okay? I've got your back on this because I want to see this is truly unprecedented times right here, and I want to see you be able to do them both. I don't want to force you into it, but I think I could help you into it without being ill. You may be ill in another fashion, but you won't be ill because of sickness.
You know what, John?
Yeah, because of a cold.
Based on what you've just told me, I probably will just do one game.
Oh, my goodness. That is so awesome, though. What a great day around here. And it's here, Don. Holy crap. I mean, this is what it could be right here. That's incredible. So, it is.
Yep, it's going to be a cool day. There's no doubt about that.
I appreciate you. You and Susie coming up here at 7 o'clock at our table. I'm on the inbound. You guys going to be good for it?
Yeah, we'll be good for it. No question. Chris can come, too, if he wants to.
Chris, what do you think?
I don't think I can make it all the way down there.
Sure you can. You can ride with me.
I've got 3 dogs that are going to be waiting to be fed, so I will come another night.
Hey, Don, I will tell you this. Right. I wore the tightest jeans I've ever worn before, so I may go home and change just before I come over there. I don't know why, but I put on the tightest jeans of all time today.
and Don, if he loses any more weight, he is going to drift away.
Well, trust me, I know what you speak. I won't use the word that I've used in front of him before now, but If I look at it tonight and I see it again, I'll use it on the air the next time we talk.
All right. Well, just because of that, I'm not going to go home and change my tight pants. I'm going to wear them for you guys.
All right. Sounds good.
See you then, buddy. Thanks, Don.
All right. See you guys.
Voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fischer on the Eddie Moore Automotive Group hotline. Bud Light Blue Friday, the district tap on the north side has been a great time, man. Chris, thank you for hanging
thanks
the
for
entire
having
time.
me. Thanks for having me.
This has been great, man. We got to do this again.
Yeah, we will. We will. And I'll bring the better half.
Oh, Terry Denary.
Terry Denary, yeah.
I'm going to tell you what, she can fire away. I was impressed with that.
She's much more impressive than I am at that.
I'm a professional. And
I'm like Don Fischer. I am the lightweight.
Yeah, that's all good. All right, so you got the Pacers, Cleveland tonight, but it's on Prime.
That's on Prime. 7 o'clock, but 6:30 here with Mark Boyle, Pat Boylan.
Yes, and then you with Eddie White on the postgame show.
After the game on the world's greatest postgame show, yes.
Thank you, buddy.
All
I
right,
appreciate
thanks, bud.
that.
Great
Kristen
to be here.
right here. Dev, thank you very much. Hey, all of you for joining us today. My friends from Zinc and Bud Light, man, I love you all. Thank you all for being a part of this. Hey, Corbin, take a bow, man. You've been absolutely outstanding to try to keep up with this mess. Well done, man. Well done, Corbin. Thank you. Corbin back at the studio. We've got Colts Happy Hour on the other side with everybody that's been on the show today. Thank you very much, too. Thanks to Michael and the fans here at the District Tap for being a part of this as well. At JMV Takeover tomorrow, 6 until midnight. The All Request Saturday night Season 5 finale is Anything Goes. We start at 6. Let's have a party tomorrow night, 6 until midnight on B105.7. We're going to get you set for the Colts of the Chiefs on Sunday, Week 12, 10 a.m. Colts pre-game huddle with me, Casey Valier, and Bill Brooks. If you're going out to that semi-state action, enjoy that. We'll keep track of all that and more. Purdue, Texas Tech later on tonight as well. Don't forget about that. You guys have been absolutely outstanding. We continue coming up next. We've got Colts Happy Hour right here on 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Don't go anywhere.